What's up, guys? It's Suko Okami.
It's Tempest.
Aster.
And Silver! I stepped on a needle, everyone.
That's good.
Yeah.
GG.
So today we're gonna be giving our opinions
On the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Exclusive to the Wii U. Coming out 2017. Rated pending. Most likely E10 and up.
So to start this out, wake up, Link. That is what was the first sentence that was said in this E3 demo.
I believe it was open your eyes, actually.
Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
We don't need to go into technicality anyway.
So how do you guys feel about this?
They
He
fixed
looks like
his.
Shulk.
They fixed his face from the reveal trailer. Like it looked weird, but now it looks better.
Now, how do you guys feel about this game?
Starting with Silver.
I'm really feeling
starting
it.
with myself. Okay, so
The way I feel about it is that
Damn!
I really
Damn,
like.
son!
I really like that
Dude, I thought you were pissed at me.
What?
I thought you were pissed at me.
What are you talking about?
Alright, we're wasting recording time.
Alright, continue.
I'm really
I
feeling
mean, it's not
it.
necessarily
YouTube
wasting
channel that
recording
exists.
time. We don't have to be that professional.
We're wasting my time.
Damn.
Shrine of Resurrection.
Brutal honesty.
Now, I just like the art. Just to address the art style, they're going for like a Wind Waker look in terms of like shading in the art style.
I'm
Okay.
really feeling it.
Okay. Who's going first?
Yeah, I'll just.
Okay, I'm going first.
Yeah, go on.
I am very excited for this game. It's better than I thought it'd be. It's really freaking huge.
Sounds so fake.
The visuals look really good for the Wii U. Like they look really good for the Wii U. I'm surprised that they made it look the way it does on a Wii U. Like that shocks me. It's pretty good. The gameplay looks very open-ended, very different from what I'm used to, because no other Zelda games really like this, and they brought that out. I'm excited to definitely play this game. I hope that maybe they might put out like a demo or something like that before the game comes out, but we'll see. I don't know. I just really like the direction that this game is going in. It's really cool, and yeah, as I said before in my cheesy fashion, this game is coming out next year. It sucks because it was slated for last year, then this year, now next year, but it actually looks like it'll come out next year. So at least we have that, and the game does look very nice. I'm glad that they did show it off very well in the E3 this year, E3 2016, and I just like all the different new things that they're adding. Like, for example, how you can freaking change all the different clothes that Link is finding, Link is wearing according to what you find. How you can use just standard tools like a freaking axe to cut down a tree, but you can also alternatively use that for combat. Also, just because it looks really neat, I like how you can burn things. It just looks neat. I don't know why, it just looks neat. But the game's really cool. I'm very excited for it, and to be brutally honest, this is literally like the only interesting thing coming to Wii U, really. And more than likely the last big game on the platform. But I do think that it's definitely a very good last big game. Unless they throw a curveball, but don't count on them.
Unless they give us a Xenoblade Chronicles Z.
Or Y. And then a Z.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'll more than likely be like with their new system.
Yeah, so next I'll go next. Well, how I feel about this game, I'm gonna be honest. But if Nintendo wants to sponsor us, I'll lie if you guys want me to. But
Just go.
This
go
game-
brutal honesty.
This game, I will admit, I wasn't interested in it at first, but after seeing it, it does look really well. I mean, I've seen not a lot, but some Legend of Zelda games, and I would say that this does look better than all the others. While I would say that, I do kind of feel like the developers for this game, they kind of just... I kind of feel like they just want to, like, not fall behind on their games, like how Final Fantasy has the roaming around thing where you can go in the car and, like, explore the world if you want to. And in here, it seems like you can just basically do the exact same thing. And another thing is this the ruined city of Hyrule, if I'm not mistaken? Yes or no?
I believe so.
Okay, so now I'm kind of confused on the story.
Mm-hmm.
What is the story for this, or we don't know yet?
It's to be determined. We haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, I'm gonna talk about what I know, and from what I know or what I see, it kind of seems like Link has been revived from the Shrine of Resurrection after he died, and it looks like the civilization of Hyrule is now dead. So basically, Link and that other mysterious figure are like the only two people alive. This is not confirmed, obviously, but from what we see, it kind of looks like that. And if that is the actuality of it, I kind of don't like that, because like Link in all the other games has been like working his butt off, like trying to save Hyrule, beat Ganondorf and all this other stuff, and then like all that work is just gone for nothing. Like he's wasted his time putting his life in danger, all just for Hyrule to be destroyed, ruined, being over or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of seems like a complete waste of someone's time.
Right.
He could have been spending his time like enjoying his life with what he's had, instead of like working towards just delaying the destruction of the city of Hyrule.
Mm-hmm. Is it confirmed that? My bad.
No, go.
Is it confirmed that this is like the result after like a big disaster?
I mean, that's what I see, because this looks like the ruined city of Hyrule.
Right. Because the only alternative is that this could be potentially a prequel, but more than likely that is what's gonna happen. The only other possible thing that this could be some sort of a prequel to all other Zelda games, but I do think that what you're bringing out is more than likely what it is.
Yeah, if it is a prequel, yeah, I guess that could be it. But
how would it work as a prequel?
I mean, like they mix up with their stories a lot. Like a lot of people do that. I mean, it could be like Link used to be something else, and then he was revived here, and then he was reincarnated to live in all those other Zelda games. That could be it, or it could be what I said before.
Right.
But yeah, and also this, like, I remember from what I know about Zelda, I do know that Ganondorf's tribe, they only have one male every something years, right?
Yeah.
So that could be Ganondorf's great descendant or ancestor,
ancestor,
and then somewhere around there could be Zelda's ancestor, and then Link having the one of the Triforces, that guy having one of the Triforces, and wherever Zelda's ancestor is could have Triforce of Wisdom, if I'm not wrong. I mean, yeah, that could be it for the prequel, or that could be it for the future. We don't know. It's not confirmed. But I'm just saying that if it is the former of what I said, then story-wise, I wouldn't like that, because it does kind of like defeat the purpose of all Link's hard work, which, like, even though it's just a game, I do kind of feel like I shouldn't have to like waste my time fighting or like putting my life in danger all for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, how do you feel about this game, Tempest?
Well, in terms of the story, I kind of feel the same way as Suku. But I'd really have to see what's confirmed and what's not, because I wouldn't want to. I don't want to play as a character that has like no purpose or anything like that. So, yeah, I'd rather wait for the official details to come out so I can make my final judgments. But in terms of gameplay, I'm really liking what they're doing with this now. I do agree that yes, maybe this is this is like a contender for
Free roaming?
Yeah, like an open world contender, like how
Like
CD Projekt Red has The Witcher 3, Monolith Soft has Xenoblade Chronicles X,
and then
Square Enix has Final Fantasy 15. Like everyone's trying to compete. Maybe, I don't know. If that is the case, I mean, it's all right. I like it because each one has its own unique experience. Xenoblade was very like futuristic and sci-fi and technologically advanced and all that. So there were like, for example, skells that you can fly around in, and that was really cool. This one is more like what I don't know what exactly you could call
Close
it.
to cavemanish?
Yeah, I was gonna say like
right, like primitive and stuff like
primitive. That? Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. This is more like primitive, but you can find like
monsters.
I mean, like contraptions or stuff that you can use to travel.
Right.
Like there would be traditional like boats and all that.
Right.
And then 15 has like its car. It's like modern and stuff. I like that. Like the combat system is different. This is like the normal like Legend of Zelda combat system. I don't know. I like that.
I'd say
I like that they're going for a more open world this time.
Yeah.
I love open world games, and there's a ton. I just hope that it's not just an empty open world. I hope that there's stuff to do.
Right.
It looks pretty fun. Like just burning stuff down would be fun. It looks really cool, and they're really polishing it so that it gives you the best experience.
Right. And I think just additional point. I think in regards to how they handled the combat in this game, it looks like it can be most similar to perhaps somewhat of a mix of like Twilight Princess, maybe some elements of Wind Waker and or Skyward Sword in there. But it does look like there is some new aspects to it. It looks like it's a little bit kind of its own original thing, which is pretty cool. And also another thing is the combat can extend to things other than just the Master Sword. For example, this staff, spear.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's another thing that I like. You can use different weapons now too.
Right. You can use as is that a tree branch. You can use that spear. You can use a freaking axe.
Yeah.
And just use that as part of your combat.
And of course, there's also the bow and arrow.
Right, of course. And also the Sheikah Stone also looks like it definitely, well, from a story perspective, definitely has something going on there. But I think from a combat perspective, it will play a role because in the announcement trailer for this game, it did showcase where there was a bow that had to do with the Sheikah Stone and that kind of that blue mysterious power of sorts. And even one of the amiibos for this game revolves around Link shooting an arrow in that with that said power. So I'm kind of curious to see how that will work. Like if there'll be like some sort of limitation to it. Because if you notice, it looks like a similar light does appear when you do attack an enemy. and take them out. So, definitely interested to see how that pans out. Yeah. So, how do you feel about this game, Master?
I think it's nice. I think it's really a breath of fresh air.
Oh my
I'm
god.
just-
Oh my god. Please stop.
Oh God. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah. I think this game is, different and really, like new for the Zelda franchise, and I think it's gonna be quite enjoyable, especially with the open world and the interactions with the environment, and all the new like abilities and probably that it's called the Sheikah Stone, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. I think that with the interactions, because we saw when you go to the shrines and you can get like abilities that the Sheikah Stone can use, I think that would be good for like implementing like little, challenges for the game. So it's just not like picking up any weapon you can find and using it. So I think that the Sheikah Stone would be good if you were for like puzzles, I guess.
Right.
As for the climbing, I think that's a good thing. I don't think I've played any other games that open world games that like had like climbing in it. But
Right.
yeah, that's nice.
I think that this is definitely the first Zelda game that has Link being able to just climb straight up on top of a mountain, because it has previously, of course, been from the standpoint of like vines and stuff like that, things that are clearly able to be climbed since Ocarina of Time. However, this is the first time that he's able to pretty much climb a bunch of different variety of objects and structures. But
I will compliment it on that. You don't really see many games where you can just climb up basically any wall or any mountain or whatever. That makes it unique in that sense as a free roam or an open world game, and I have to say that is props to them, because from what I know of other open world games, they don't have that, or you can't do that. Go on.
Yeah, it's not parkour like,
Assassin's Creed.
open world games are not usually like that.
right.
But with like the world is extremely big, so usually they'd have to make some sacrifices in order to do that. But I think considering the art style that they went for, they don't really have to worry about it that much. But it still looks really good, and for what they were going for, they did a really good job. To bring up a point Aster made, the Sheikah Slate, I believe, is going to be of course, it's really important. I think it's going to be a really fun aspect of exploration as well as combat, because if you notice in the trailers as well, you see that you can form like objects from it, and you can like carry stuff around, and like in one of the scenes he dropped like a log or a wood plank on enemies, so you can use that in combat as well as like traversing areas, like how he made like this cube in water that he could climb on top of.
Right.
And probably while he's on top of it, he can use the Sheikah Slate to move himself from point A to point B. So I think that would be a really innovative and really cool part of it.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of Gary's mod, because they have that gun thing that you can use to pick up and move objects. So I think that's a really cool thing to add in a game like this.
Right. And I do think that they were able to come up with an art style that works well for the game, and yeah, an art style that works well for the game with considering the hardware that is considering the hardware that the game is on, being the Wii U, and being as underpowered as it is, they definitely came up with something that works. And it still looks good, but it doesn't mess up what's there, I guess. Yeah. And another additional point that I'd say really sticks out is the Guardians. Because ever since the original announcement trailer, that's been an aspect of the game, the Guardians. Which are those, those big old giant, just monsters that, with just the tentacle-like arms or whatever. And that's definitely interesting. I want to kind of know what's the deal with that. I don't know if it's specifically a Guardian, a central Guardian to the plot, or if it is multiple of which. I'm not quite sure on that, and I'm curious to kind of see how that plays into the plot.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. Definitely interested to see how that works out.
I like that they added a stamina meter, so that's for climbing and sprinting and all that.
Right. I'd say it's that aspect. I say is most. It does remind me of it's an expanded version of how it was in Skyward Sword, because back then it was to the extent of just sprinting. However, they expanded upon it towards climbing and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if it had to do with when you're swimming. I believe it did.
I believe, it is.
Yeah.
When you're swimming faster.
Which, from a realistic standpoint, is definitely a good move, because it makes Link kind of not so overpowered to the point where he can just do something, and he can just has an unrealistic level of stamina. I'm glad that he has that it's a realistic scale in which he can be able to do those different things.
Yeah, I'm glad that they made it for more than just sprinting, because in Skyward Sword it was so the stamina was pretty. It was kind of unfair, if you were to make it just for sprinting, because for example, if they were to make the stamina for just sprinting in here, it wouldn't make any sense, and it would, you can climb forever but you can't run sprint forever. That wouldn't make any sense, and it would be more of a pointless part of the game.
So I noticed in regards to the rest of the just E3 conference in general this year, Zelda was definitely a huge deal. A combination of Zelda and I guess this and Pokemon Sun and Moon, but I'm kind of both. I think I'm both glad and not glad that it ended up going the way it did, because I'm glad that we were able to see a good extent of this game. I do think that them making this the main focus of the E3 was a good move, because definitely putting a lot, definitely showing off the game to a really big extent, I think was definitely smart. I'm definitely curious to know kind of how big the world is. That's definitely something that's going to be interesting to see. And I think just sheer exploration and seeing what the world has to offer as a whole is definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that with what Link has, exploration isn't something that's a breeze to do, but it's not too overwhelming to the point where getting point A to point B is too difficult, Because, for example, if you're trying to cross if you're from up high and you're trying to drop down to a much lower area, Link has the little parachute situation, to be able to deal with that. And then in regards to just exploration on ground, not really sure as to when that happens in the game, but Epona has been shown on multiple occasions to be in the game, so it's definitely interesting to see, I'm interested to see when and how Epona will play a role in the game. Definitely curious to see how that happens, and I wonder if it'll work in a similar style to like Twilight Princess, and even back in like Ocarina of Time, where you're able to just do where you're able to just pick from the ground and be able to just whistle and have her just kind of come out of nowhere. I don't know if that I'm curious to see if that's how it works, because I would believe so, because otherwise opponent would be very situational and a bit of a hassle in the game world. So I would imagine that would be how it is. And I don't know if you guys saw, but in earlier gameplay, she's actually been opponent's been revamped, where not only does for example her the hair that she has moves like how a normal horse would, and stuff like that according to the way that she's moving, which is a neat touch. But also if you are riding Epona and there's upcoming trees, she'll move according to the trees. She'll move out of the way of the trees. So that's a very nice touch, that she moves, according to any obstacles, and tries best to avoid it, just naturally. I think that's a really nice touch. It definitely brings more realism to the game as a whole.
Yes, well, I am really just looking forward to checking out how the story will be. Right. More times than not, if it is a game with a story, I will be attached to the character that I'm using, and try my best to understand what they're going through. That's very important for me, and
that's good.
I do appreciate that when I'm done with a story, there is a happy ending, and I hope that my hard work does pay off in some sense, so I can feel a sense of accomplishment, not just, oh, I beat the game, but everyone is dead.
Yeah.
That's why even in other games, I always try to go for everyone lives or whatever, something like that.
Right. And I think that this game is definitely gonna be, well, not only do I think that this will hands down be the best just adventure game in general on the Wii U for sure, but I definitely think that this is more than likely gonna end up being the best Zelda game to be released, because definitely seeing to how to the degree in which this game the improvements that it's making upon the Zelda formula, and just how much of how many differences it's making, good differences, I do think that more than likely it's gonna end up being the best game in the series. Yeah. And I do think that this is I definitely do see this being a must-have title for anyone who has a Wii U, and arguably, according if you're into the Zelda series and don't already have a Wii U, well, that's kind of confusing. But nevertheless, this will definitely be a game to get someone to get to pick up the game and stuff like that. It'll be definitely enough reason to get it.
Is this a console seller?
I'd say that more than likely it could be, because remember, you have to keep in mind that this will be both on Wii U and the next Nintendo system. So I think that in regards to, from a sales perspective, I do think that this game will, if the new Nintendo system has a good lineup off the to boot, then I do think that it'll be more successful in that system. And but it's definitely a weird situation with the Wii U, because we're at the end of its lifespan. But if you look at the games that have released within its lifespan, and if the person who looks at this, yeah, that is nice. The person looking at this game, if they were to look at the entire lineup of the Wii U as a whole, that this could be a very big impact. Now, let's say if we were earlier in the lifespan of the Wii U, this is definitely a console seller. So from the quality, it is a console seller in my opinion. But in regards to the point in time it's coming on the Wii U, it's definitely a weird point for it to come out, I think. Now, if no word about a new Nintendo system had ever came to light, then this would definitely, in regards to the sales of this game, I would have little to no doubt that it would be very good. But I'm not really sure how the Wii U version is going to do, because what we're reviewing is the Wii U version. So two big things make me interested. One, how are the sales going to do on the Wii U, since we are at the end of its lifespan, and also what the NX version would be like. If it would be just more content, or would the NX actually be powerful enough to the point where substantial upgrades could be done to this game? Because I would be curious to see how that pans out. Because I don't really know what they would do necessarily to improve the game. I mean, outside of maybe just exclusive content to that version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard that there was like a rumor that this might also be ported to the NX.
Right.
However, we still don't know anything about the NX, so...
Right. So, whether it'll just stick as a Wii U exclusive or will be on that system, it's, just a matter of time to kind of see. But in due time, that'll definitely come to light, right, in regards to how that will go. But would you say that this game could be considered a console seller?
Yeah, definitely. This, along with Smash Bros. I think that's...
For the Wii U.
Yeah, for the Wii U, definitely a console seller. Like, those two games, I feel like, are the only reason you need to have a Wii U.
Right. And I guess if you have already made the purchase, other pretty good, I wouldn't say not to the degree of this and Smash Brothers, but still really standout titles on the platform, I'd say, if they are your thing, would be arguably Bayonetta 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles X, depending on your preferences in games. But I definitely think that between this and Super Smash Brothers, I definitely think that this should be in pretty much every Wii U owner's collection, Wii U collection of games. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those games, man. Like, this will last you like a really long time.
Yeah.
I think just climbing would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting to not only... it looks like it's going to be really interesting not only to just explore all that the world has to see, but to just... just seeing what the game has to see in just a single playthrough. I think unlike any other Zelda game, is definitely going to be different this time around. Because before, in any other Zelda game, it was always about doing your linear adventure. Going in your mostly linear adventure and, just completing the dungeons and almost, and generally the set order for every game and everything like that. But this time around, it's different because, this time around it's different because the game's a lot more open-ended. So it's it's really interesting because to do an average playthrough, I don't really know how long that would take, It might be an extremely long playthrough, but I can definitely, I'm almost absolutely certain that based off what we see, a full completion route of this game would take quite a long time. Because it looks like to explore literally every nook and cranny of this world and to go through all the dungeons, see the story that there is to see, everything like that. It's definitely I definitely think it's gonna take a very long time.
Yeah, and there's like a good level of detail as well.
Right.
Like Link gets colder in like snowy environments, so you can put thicker clothes on so that he's not like shivering anymore.
Right. I think in regards to how the whole cold would more than like play into the gameplay, which that is neat. How the enemies will adapt according to the areas. The choo-choos were like kind of in a icy theme, but I definitely think that, for example, if Link was cold, I think that might either extend into depleting his health long term, or could impact his stamina and make it deplete faster. I think. I think that it could definitely have a gameplay functionality, and that might also play into, for example, that might have a reverse effect. For example, if you were in a lava themed area, that might play an aspect where Link would be, would need to cool off and stuff like that. The reverse effect. You can see that also reflects those bat-like enemies over there.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of enemy variations as well.
And also, just it's definitely cool to see, like, for example, as you can see, like, Link's footprints left as he's going through the snow. It's really neat to see just all those levels of detail that hasn't really been possible in any other Zelda game.
Yeah.
Just because the lack of the hardware really being there to be able to support that. It's really cool to see all the detail that this game is bringing, because it's bringing a lot of detail that you usually kind of expect to see in your typical like AAA game that you were to see, but seeing it with a long time big Nintendo series is really cool. I guess seeing the Legend of Zelda in general kind of meet up to 2016 standards is definitely really cool.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Kind of fitting. Anyway, we thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We plan to do a playthrough on this when it comes out.
Right.
So yeah, you guys can stay tuned for that, and maybe hear more, so we can learn more about the story, learn more about how they improve and polish the gameplay, and all the realistic stuff that they have in it, that they were just talking about.
Thank you guys for watching. This game looks very exciting. This year, Final Fantasy 15 is the biggest game. I'd say arguably at this point, this is probably the biggest game of next year that we see at this point.
You can get headshots and one-shot them?
That is really cool. That is really cool that you can do headshots. I did not realize you could do headshots. That's cool. Also, that the shield looks
very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it is really cool. I like it.
Anyway, yeah, bye.
Goodbye.